Yo, what's going on, guys? My name's Tom, and welcome to podcast number 10. On this episode, we have UncutFighter. He is the community manager for H2PC. As always, all links pertaining to my guest will be in the video description, so make sure you check it out. All right, so we've all got a story. What got UncutFighter into Halo?
Well, what got me into Halo was probably what the bulk of what we're going to talk about in this podcast is Halo 2 PC. Unlike most people, I started playing with Halo 1 on PC, even going as far back as to the trial, the Halo 1 trial, which was just the one campaign mission, the Silent Cartographer, and then the one multiplayer mission, Blood Gulch, and it was just it was like a demo game, but I played so much of it, and then I went from playing that to Halo CE, and then on PC, and then I had gotten H2V, and H2V was very, very cool to me because it had the Xbox Live stuff integrated through it with Games to Windows Live, and I know GFWO has bad talk about it, but it had a friends list, it had a messaging system, and I remember getting on there, and I played my very first game, and it was a CTF game on coagulation. I'd gotten a kill. My first 4 kills was a kill-tacular. I think I sorted like 3 people or something like that for a triple kill and cleaned up some dude for a kill tac, but it was that, and and then from there I was just playing in different servers, and I'd started talking to these people through the text chat in game, and we added each other, and it was really cool because I became friends with these people, and then we would just get back on it because we had a friends list system. We were able to just invite each other, and it just kept bringing me back to it, and I really started getting in over just the span of a couple of days into Halo 2 Vista. H2V is probably definitely what really had gotten me into Halo, but what locked me in was montages, because I remember watching my very first montage. It was the Phalanx and Ephraim, however, I've heard it said both ways, but it was that dualtage. I remember watching that, and it was so cool to me. That got me into Halo. Like, that locked me in. Like, it was a combination of multiple experiences just coming together, and I think that's what has sealed me in and made me stick with this game so long, and at that point, and grow from there forward to playing it all the way up to how it is today.
Yeah, I mean, that's really cool. I mean, see, like, I had a pretty unorthodox come up as well. Like, I started on XBC in 05. Like, people, when I tell my friends now, especially friends who played, from 05, 06, they're like, well, how did you not know about Xbox Live? Well, again, a friend from high school came over and he hooked it up for me, and XBC was what he taught me, so I never really cared about that. And it's really cool how you mentioned, like, your first game on Coag, because I remember my first game, too. It was Team SWAT on Foundation and on XBC, and I'll never forget that. I don't know why. I'll just never forget it. Did you, like, progressively get into Xbox Live on the Xbox, or, like, what was that transition like?
So here we go. So this is going to go back to that initial question. Like I said, I got to know these people, and I had this small group of friends that I was playing with on Halo 2 Vista, and I had gotten Halo 2 Vista kind of midsummer of 2009. And I know this is pretty late to get into Halo for some people, but this is when I got into it. It was like summer of 2009, and like I said, I was playing with this group of people, and we were good friends, and we had actually said, like, I want to get Halo 3, because I remember watching gameplay of Halo 3 and stuff like that, and we all started talking, and we were all like pretty much like, yeah, we're getting Halo 3, and it was going to be for Christmas. Like, we're all getting Halo 3 and Xbox 360s for Christmas. And I remember my very first game, I'd gotten my 360. I was so happy. I was Christmas morning. I was so happy. I hooked up my 360, and I was able to sign in with my my Xbox Live profile that I had already had from Halo 2 Vista, because, like I said, Games to Windows Live is the same system. I signed in. I put Halo 3 in. I had updated it, and I remember playing my very first game on Snowbound. I don't know if it's the Boundless version of Snowbound. It was that what was it? That, like, Rumble training playlist they have. It was so much fun. I won that game. I remember just getting so many kills. I was having so much fun at that time. It was just so much fun to play. There was something for whatever you wanted to do. You had the ranked playlist. You had MLG and stuff like that, and you had the social playlist for just casually having fun. I remember staying up so late, like just so late into the morning, like playing Halo 3 all the way up almost until the sun came up the next day sometimes. This is what's really cool, is throughout that time of playing it, there was always something about H2V that brought me back to it. Like, I know that seems weird. It's like, well, you got Halo 3 now. Why would you want to play this, this little rinky-dink PC version that barely has any players? There was something special about it. It was just the community. There was friends on theirs I had that hadn't gotten it, and it was just a fun game. It was my way of playing Halo 2, and I really liked Halo 2, so I went back and I would play that even though I had Halo 3, and I was playing them both, you know. And it was just a lot of fun. It was, like I said, it was just this combination. It was just a lot of fun playing all of these games.
Yeah, I think that's like, it's really cool to hear a different perspective, because like most people, they came up through, you know, Xbox Live or whatever, but you know, it was the same here for me. Like I played XBC until they closed it. You know,
and that's XBC. And yours is kind of unique. Your way is kind of unique. I've never heard of anybody starting with like XBC, and especially in like 2005.
05, my username was Thomas, TH0MAS. You know, guys like LA Khan, guys like Tone, guys, you know, a lot of these guys I played with, you know, for 14, 15 years. Like, it's been a long time. So, you know, and I remember all those guys. I know, you know, later in like 11, 12, you know, guys like Skulls that I play with sometimes. But most people, they came up the conventional way. They came up through Xbox Live. So it's really cool to see, you know, someone come up through Vista, because I had Vista. And I did play it, but it wasn't very frequent. And, you know, I think it kind of speaks to, like, you kind of just stick with what you know. You stick where, like, where your friends are. Like, if you have friends playing something, like, it doesn't really matter what it is. And that's what I try to tell people, too. When people, they bash on, like, Halo 4 and Reach, like, I hate those games. But if those are your first Halo games, like, you're always going to have this, like, connection to those games. Like,
exactly. That's true. That is true.
These kids who are, you know, 16, 17, 18, like, they're going to grow up loving Halo 5. They're going to be like, man, Halo 5 was my childhood game. And, like, you can't take that away from them. So you have to respect it.
And that's fair. That's fair. And, you know, that's you shouldn't take that away from them. You shouldn't want to take that away from them, because it's not like you want to rob them of that experience. Because, you know, if that's how they're having fun, let them have fun. Let them enjoy it, you know. They're enjoying it and they're having fun. I'm all for it. You know, I'm not going to stop that.
Let's talk H2PC. Tell me about how you, like, obviously we know how you got into it, but how did you get involved in your current role? And talk about, I guess, like, the overall vision for H2PC.
It was just playing this game. It was this community of people that were playing this game despite it having so many issues. Now, they weren't like incredibly bad issues, but they were pretty bad comparatively speaking to how the game is supposed to be. So you had the game that was quite literally deteriorating the more that games for Windows Live was getting updated, and the game itself was not actually getting updated to work along with these games for Windows Live updates. So because that team, Hired Gun, got disbanded within a month after Halo 2 Vista had came out. So it was not getting supported at all. The voice chat stopped working. You had a hit registration was getting like worse and worse the more the Games for Windows Live was getting updated. It's kind of like an Xbox update, imagine, but for PC. You had things like a join lag started to get implemented, where it's where, like, if you're playing in a game and somebody joins your game as you're playing, like through clicking your server on your server list or whatever and joining, your game would actually freeze, and it could freeze for maybe a half a second. I had seen it freeze for upwards of like a minute or so. It was just annoying. It was very irritating. And then on top of all of this, you had things like malicious people in the community, which you couldn't really do anything about, that found ways, like the ability to crash people's games because there were certain font characters in the game, and they could name hack themselves to have these characters in their name, and they would just join games. It would just crash everybody in the game, and it was ruining the experience for everybody. And then they could also host a server and have that character in their server name. So if you clicked the server list to try and play, your game would instantly crash. So you couldn't even play at all, let alone like actually getting into a game and then having somebody join it and crash you. And we would call Microsoft and Games for Windows Live, and we would just complain about these issues, but nothing would ever really come of it. There was also a lot of times where the server list itself would go down. It would just be where it would say not available, and you couldn't join anybody's games. You couldn't create a custom game and invite anybody because it all went through that server list. And we would just call and complain, and we would eventually, after several days of making dozens of calls, because it was like I said, this is a small community. This is a very small, tight-knit community where everybody knows everybody, and they're all talking like, hey, yeah, call this number and let's see if we can't get it back up. You know, it would eventually work. But it's like, we shouldn't even have to be doing this, because it felt like the server list was hosted on a PC, some old dusty PC from like 1998, stuffed under some desk at Microsoft somewhere. Going back into the crashing issue, it was the community that had to make fixes for that. There was a a team of people called Monster Moose, and Monster Moose was one person who created like this big clan. He would host servers and stuff, and his team actually had been the first to help develop a crash fix where you would download it from their website, and it would just be this little tiny background program that would run that would make it so that that font was injected into your game so that you wouldn't crash. And that is just one example of many of the things that the community did to help improve the experience for each other. So you had people that were developing, like Cantanimo, a good friend of mine, he developed the first field of view changer for Halo 2 Vista, and then that way you could increase your field of view. There was the fly cam, like Blue Trainer, where you could go and you could go into like your own little theater mode, even though it wasn't real theater mode, it was just going into a game, and then you could activate this fly camera or a third-person camera and stuff like that, and that would allow people to make machinimas and stuff like that. And I realized that's not a first. That was also done on Xbox, but it was the fact that it was being done for this game. And just tons and tons of fixes like that were being made. The community would try and create these mods, and it just help improve the experience for not only themselves but for others and everyone playing. And we kind of became an ecosystem, a self-sustaining community. It was just this dedication, and I know I'm speaking about my own experience here, but I'm also kind of speaking from the point of view of others. We were a group of people. We're just trying to support our game and keep it, because Microsoft was not helping us. So we had to do it ourselves if we wanted to have it. And we had this enduring will to just keep doing what we could to improve it. And that's why we're still here today. That's, if you think about it, theoretically speaking here, we shouldn't even exist. Like H2V should have been wiped off years ago. It should have been wiped out in 2010 probably. But it was our will or willpower to continue to support this game and to play it.
Yeah,
that has kept it.
And like piggybacking off of that being said, what are some of the challenges that you guys face trying to develop H2PC? Like what obviously like there's different players who have different ideas and opinions. The cost of hosting servers. Like speak about some of the challenges. The
challenges are honestly trying to take all of the input, because there's a lot of people and a lot of people want a lot of things. It's the fact that we are such a small team. It's probably actively right now. I'm having to think about this because we have so many times. We have our team of people, which is somewhere in 15 to 20 if you count like website developers and stuff like that, which aren't directly doing anything with the game itself, but they're still helping us on the website end of things. But the thing is, it's like a lot of these people are doing it as a hobby, and so right now there's not that many people, or there's not that many people currently working on it. It's just maybe like 2 or 3 people who are actively making commits and changes to the game's code, or to the project's code and to the game's code to try and improve it. So definitely manpower is probably the biggest challenge, but it doesn't stop us because it's this just enduring will. Like I said, like Nucleator, he's somebody who has been working on our netcode. I think this will go into an issue as well. It was our netcode. This has been a real challenge because this entire project is basically trying to restore. Its very first sole purpose was to restore online gameplay to the project, and it was written originally by Permanol, who did an absolutely mind-blowing job of getting this game back online. I don't even know how many thousands upon hundreds of thousands of line of code that go into the initial commit of this project that had gotten it back online, and that was just to get it back online, to get people able to connect and join to each other. It has just evolved from there to us patching the game and improving it. It's just trying to take in all of the issues that people are pointing out to us, or not even issues, but things that people want to see changed, and figuring out the priority in which it would need to be done, as well as also being sure that it's still respecting the people who are taking the time to actively develop for this project. Because, they may not necessarily want to work on that, because it is, like I said, it's largely in part a hobby. They may want to do something completely different. They may want to work on something with campaign or do something with a mod that they have or an idea like that. But it's definitely probably manpower, because we are, like I said, a very small team. We make it work.
As an advocate for H2PC, what were your thoughts about Halo Online and that whole debacle?
I thought Halo Online was an absolutely incredible game. I thought, and not the initial game, the El Dorito mod. The initial game was going to be terrible. I don't know how many people actually know what the game was originally about. It was developed by like a Russian company, and it was going to be like microtransaction city. It was going to be like you could buy like a 3-shot BR or something like that, and then go and play in like games with it. You know, it was going to be an absolute catastrophe, but it was still it was at its core the Halo 3 ODST engine, which is just essentially the Halo 3 engine, but with some lighting changes. Those guys over there at El Dorito, they did absolutely incredible things with that game. They made as close, and I know it's not exactly like Halo 3, but they delivered an incredible experience. I mean, this game felt, I remember at launch night, 0.6 update, it was something else. There was tons and tons of people on ready to play this game. That game went through so much optimization between its I think it was 0.5.6 update, which is ironically our current update for our game, but it was from that to 0.6. The 0.6 was the big one that had gotten everybody's attention. The game prior to that 0.6 update was so unoptimized. It was like the greatest PC could only get maybe like somewhere between 50 and 60 FPS on it, and it would constantly stutter and fluctuate because the engine, it was like a test build of the game. That entire team over there, Game Cheese, that I shouldn't name names because there's too many people to give credit to, but Unc1, all of those people overhauled that entire game's engine and provided so much support for it as far as mods go, and turned it into an incredibly phenomenal. And like I said, I know it's not Halo 3, but my goodness, that was such a cool experience to get to play something as close as you would probably get at that time to Halo 3 on PC, and for it to be so good, for it to be that it felt like something out of a game, like a professional game studio, as much as it had been overhauled. Like you could, and I think initially when you install the game or when you download it and run it, it's got like it's basically Halo 3 ODST engine, but with like Halo 4 weapon view models, and like the way that the weapons function are kind of in line with Halo 4. You can reskin your weapons to look like the Halo 3 battle rifle and stuff like that. And obviously it's still following the Halo 4 style bullet projectile velocities, so it is kind of like hit scan in the sense. No Halo is actually hit scan. It's just projectiles that either are really fast or slowed down to simulate leading and stuff like that. But they had overhauled that game is something that truly is mind-blowing to me, and I think that it's a real shame what Microsoft had done. I don't think they needed to do that. That game on that night, it was April 20th, 2018. I remember that night playing that game, waiting on the update to come out, and just I remember scrolling through their Discord and seeing they had created like I don't even know how many voice channels, and they were all filled up with people. And it took you about a half a minute of scrolling through their Discord voice chat to see the entire list of people in there that were chatting. Their server list couldn't even initially handle it. Like you couldn't even get into games, so everybody over there was trying to quickly get up a better working server list, because I don't think they had anticipated it to be that big. And I mean, man, that was something else. There were so many people playing that game. People were having fun. People were enjoying themselves. It felt like I had spoken earlier about me playing Halo 3 for the first time. There were people who primarily only play PC. They were getting kind of their own version of playing Halo 3 for the first time, and it was magical. And I think the word magical really applies to a lot of this stuff when it comes to Bungie's Halo and like the community mods and stuff like that, because it's what it is. Halo is magical. It captivates people when it's an enjoyable experience and it works right. And it was so much fun, man, playing that game. Microsoft did not need to do what they did, putting out that cease and desist order. They put it out, and I think they did it in a way. It was a very calculated way, because the cease and desist order wasn't what made that game fall off so much. And you can still play it, because you can still play it right now. You can still get on and play it. They put the cease and desist order out, and all of these people, like YouTubers and people on Twitter and stuff, they were making these like clickbait titles. For example, for like a YouTuber, I remember seeing a video called Halo Offline, and it made it seem as if the game was offline now. So there were people who would at that point would see that and just be like, oh, I guess I can't play it, and they wouldn't download it. Or there would people who just wouldn't get on anymore because they thought it was down. And there was also this perception from a lot of people, wait, apparently this is illegal if I play this, and you could still play it and you would be perfectly fine. But it ended up being this massive, what I felt like, calculated movement from them to do that.
Because like I mean, the whole Halo Online thing for me was like I didn't play it, but I did see a lot of people like streams, YouTube videos, people who were playing it. Obviously, it's not Halo 3. It wasn't Halo 3 at all. But at the same time, it's cool to see what you know, a fan-made project can actually be. You know, with some TLC. Obviously, like you said, a lot of hype around it. There was tens of thousands of people playing it. You know, just amazing to see Halo on PC. And I think Microsoft, they had to do that because they saw something gaining momentum, and there was more people on H2PC than Halo 5 and MCC. So like, they're like, wait a second, like these guys are leaving our platform, Xbox,
for theirs,
they're going over here. So it's like, wait a second. My thing is, and I said this on my YouTube channel. I don't know which videos I said this on, but basically, like, I don't get, or no, it was the Big 343 video. I'm like, I love how they send a cease and desist to those guys, but they don't say anything to you guys at HPC. Obviously, I think there's like a legal reason as to why they can't do that, but but it's just funny to me that like they just go after these guys because they see that something is actually like effective and working.
Well, in all fairness, the build that the 0.6 update was based off of, the build of El Dorito, of Halo Online that El Dorito was based off of for that update, was kind of maliciously obtained build. Like they kind of weren't supposed to have it, but they had gotten it anyways, and they had built off of that. But the thing is, though, at that point, since the project that Halo Online was already disbanded, that game was not going to happen. Yes, you can make the argument, well, Microsoft had every right to shut this down, but did they really need to, though? Because it really, really seems like more of like an ego thing, like because that one night, Halo had been more relevant than it had been in years. That night.
No, sure.
Halo had became relevant. It was a top viewed game on Twitch, and it had maintained it for several days, or for the 4 days until they started banning the Twitch streamers. Can you think about that? Like, Twitch streamers were getting banned, YouTubers were getting banned, YouTube videos taken down, streamers were getting banned. That is so ridiculous to me. That is so ridiculous, and it makes me so mad. It seemed like it was just based off of pure ego that Microsoft was upset, and it's not like they were really losing anything. I mean, because these people weren't even playing Halo on MCC really. This was PC, and you had really provided no support for any of the other versions. You know, like I said with H2V, it's all on the community to do it. You never did anything for it.
These guys aren't paid for this shit. Like, dude,
they got nothing out of it. It was their own time, their own brain power.
The Halo 1 boys do their own thing at the Beachlands. Like, they have to do everything themselves. Like, you know, and I remember seeing something too about like they wanted like better hardware in the Xboxes to like do more, but they're very limited as to what they can do. And like the boys over at HGPC, like, you guys, it's all on your own time. I think ego had a lot to do with it. But I mean, you know, again, it's in the law. They could do that. They did do that. And I think that they're just mad that people aren't playing their shit. They're not playing MCC because MCC sucks. So like, but I mean, who's to blame for that? Like, if you don't want people to jump ship to different games or platforms, then fix the shit.
Fix your own.
Yeah, like,
fix your own.
Fix your game.
And yeah, that's exactly right. And I think El Dorito had did a lot of good for Halo because it had promoted Halo. Like I said, it had been more relevant that one night than it had been in years.
So, talk about Halo 2 on MCC. What are some of the differences between your product, H2PC, and Halo 2 on MCC?
I'm going to, for a moment here, speak from the point of view of others, because I'm just going to say what others have said to me. And it's the biggest difference is gameplay. Everybody that I've ever had in play Halo 2 PC after playing MCC, they've said the gameplay is much better. And that entails shot registration, spawns, just the fact that the servers feel better, whatever it may be. Melees, just everything about the game, it feels better according to them. And I think a lot of the major differences between the two, and I don't know how this is going to sound to a lot of people, but I think that, you know, we actually care. I try to listen to the community and provide feedback to developers, the people that develop for our project, on what they're saying and what needs to be done to change it. Like, you know, we had some people that said, oh, the hit registration, it needs to be looked at. And so we looked at hit registration and got it to a position in which people thought was where it needed to be, and make it, you know, it's just listening to the community and trying to implement their fixes. I had made a mod, the mod that had gotten a bunch of people from MCC to switch over Halo 2 PC from MCC. It was my H2x mod, and it's my version of the fire rate fix for the faster shooting that Halo 2 Vista naturally has. If you remember MCC, you know, and H2V, it has by default that fast carbine, you know, the BR shoots quicker, stuff like that. I had developed I had developed a mod through editing tag data to fix the fire rates, and I had spent a lot of time on that. I had recorded. A lot of people don't know how much time I spent on that. I spent probably like 3 days straight working on that. Like I went on original Xbox. I recorded a 30 FPS clip. Obviously, it was original Xbox of me shooting original Halo 2 on my 360. Excuse me. Shooting each gun as fast as it's possible to shoot them. And then I went and I would record all the weapons firing on Halo 2 Vista, and obviously, with the exception of the SMG, Sentinel Beam, and Needler, and the sword, because it has the same swing time. All the other weapons were, they had different fire rates. They were faster than original Halo 2. So I had went weapon by weapon, changing the tag data, and it's like, if you could imagine a number like 0.122 or something like that, if you could imagine like a 2 or a 3-digit number in tenths and hundredths, changing that number one by one, that value, recording myself firing the weapon at that changed number one by one, dragging it into Vegas, putting it side by side with original Halo 2, lining up the very first frame of shooting, and and making sure that it's perfectly lined up for where that very first frame of firing happens, and then going through and playing it until I got changing it, because it wouldn't match up. It took me dozens and dozens of times of changing it, re-recording it, putting it back into Vegas, comparing the fire rates until I got it to match up. And I did that with every single weapon until I had gotten it right. That was something that I found to be really cool that I managed to do. I had went through and I had fixed the fire rates on Halo 2 Vista, and I remember this video was really big. It's what got MVC, who is actually the person who really got those people from MCC, the competitive players, to switch over to Halo 2 PC. It was that mod because at that time there was no announcements of MCC getting any type of these changes, and he gave our project a chance. And like I said, they all switched over and tried it, and like they said, the gameplay was better. They said the gameplay was much more like how original is supposed to be. That's why I think that's just the best way to answer that question. It's just pure gameplay. It's just better. And I think also a lot of people have a better experience on here as well. And it goes because we also have mods on here. We have a zombies mod where we quite literally have like zombies infection in the term that you think of it from original Halo 2, where you would have somebody be on red team and green team, except our system is automated so that if like somebody that's on green team, a zombie, kills somebody on red team, a human, they spawn as a green like as a green Spartan or elite. They have only the sword and they can't pick up any other weapons. So it's all automated. You don't have to go off of a trust system that people are going to abide by the rules. It's just cool stuff like that. We try to think about what the people would enjoy to play. We have gun game where everybody spawns with the same weapon, kind of like Call of Duty has, and then you kill somebody with your gun and you advance to the next weapon.
To play devil's advocate though,
Mm-hmm.
At what point is listening to the community, at what point does that become a negative? Because, for example, in Halo 3, a lot of people complained about boosting and things like that, and so they just, they're like, okay, well, people are complaining about this, so we're going to remove the 1 through 50 ranks. And that was a big mistake, because Reach ended up having a big drop-off. The game launched with 3-rank playlist, and then they took 2 out, FFA and doubles, pretty quick. I could make an argument that the lack of, ranked playlists, especially in MLG, I mean, how can you have MLG and have it unranked? It's just, it was counterproductive ultimately. And what I think on H2PC, I know people who play it quite frequently, and it feels nothing like MCC. At what point does listening to players become a negative? Because, my thing is, if you have obviously you have multiple servers, multiple server locations, people can host their own servers. At what point, obviously, we'll talk about the competitive players on H2PC more a little bit later, but at what point does it become okay, well, you have a guy, if the server is in Virginia and you have a guy in California, a guy in Washington, so you have neighbor on, right? The shots are never going to count. There's different players are going to have different type of experiences depending on where they're at. So how can you cater to every person? Especially if someone's a regular on the game and they're in California and they never get a West Coast host, you can't lower the latency to the host. So it's at what point does it become okay, well, dude, you kind of just have to deal with it?
To indirectly answer about the negative, it's not so much negatives because of the fact that we're so customizable and flexible. I think what the best part about our project is that we're able to make, or at least we try to make everyone. I think the fact that anybody can go and get a server, like you were speaking on latency and stuff. Anybody can go and get a server at like a data center or something, or an Azure server, and they can put up their own server, and they can have their friends play on it, or they can play on it themselves, and people will just naturally join through the server list. It's the customization. The power really is kind of in the hands of the players here. They have the ability to do what they would like with the game. Like I said, my H2x mod, where it rebalances the fire rates, that's just a mod. If it has H2x in the game type name, so like MLG Sanctuary CTF, if you see MLG Sanctuary CTF and it's got H2x at the end, then the fire rates fix gets applied. Otherwise, it's still just regular default fast Halo 2 Vista shooting. And I have an OG H2 mod, where if you put OG H2 in the game variant name, your game will literally play like original Halo 2. The tick rate of the game becomes changed from its updated 60 rate down to 30, and then we also cap the frame rate to 30, and you're quite literally doing the same things you can do on original Halo 2. You can super bounce, the same super bounces, the button combo timings are the same, the hit registration is the same. It becomes the same game as original Halo 2, just in HD 1080p or whatever resolution you choose to play in. So I don't know how much of a negative there is when it comes to like what we have, where the power really is in the hands of the people who play our game. They can put up their own servers, or maybe if they know somebody in the community who has an extra PC, they can host a server and with their own.
Yeah, but doesn't it cost? I mean, it obviously costs money to host a server, right?
Right. So it depends. Like if you can host a local server at your own, your own house on your home internet connection, or if you do want to go the route where you would pay for it, you could go to a data center or like Microsoft Azure, which is the same servers that MCC uses, yep. And you can pick it. You can pick any of the servers. You can pick US Central, US East, whatever, or any run of the mill data center that you can find online. Just look around online, and you can find them pretty cheap. Actually, you can get VPSs, which are virtual private servers, where it's basically like a virtual machine with you can get Windows on it, and you get a gigabit connection. You get these phenomenal connections at these data centers. And since Halo 2 servers don't really require that much power, you don't have to put that much money into the hardware specs that you're getting for these servers. And most data centers are just naturally going to be giving you like a gigabit connection, or at least something that's very, very comparable to that, good enough to handle Halo 2. So I don't think there's necessarily anything negative I could say, other than the fact that it might get overwhelming, and there's so many people wanting so many different things, and it goes back into where I said about the manpower. Not enough ability to make everybody happy instantly, but at least you listen and try to
yeah,
listen.
no, but like something like, for example, like say like bullet velocity, like obviously you've tinkered with that. Well, I guess what I meant about playing, like about trying to please everyone, and like how it could be a negative, is like you have X amount of competitive players on H2PC, and if you guys are, if like everyone's playing on an East Coast server, and like there's a couple guys on the West Coast. If they start complaining about, oh, my shots don't count, at what point do you say, okay, well, like, we're going to have a look at, X, Y, or Z? Or would you just tell them, listen, like, this is what it is. Like, it works fine for the majority of people. It's probably just your connection. It's probably just, where you're located.
That that sometimes is just gonna have to be the answer if it's something like a pretty far away person. Like let's say there's somebody in Australia, they're kind of not gonna ping that well to anything, because they're all the way in Australia. We have Australian players, and there's not much you can do about that unless because you're either gonna a server up somewhere, either like over in the EU or in the US, which they're still going to have high ping too either way. Or the compromise is you put a server up in Australia, but then they're getting to enjoy it on that server, but everybody else has to ping 250 or whatever to that server. So yeah, I mean the internet obviously has its limitations as far as ping goes, but about the bullet velocity stuff, that's something that we had discovered, and it was a temporary fix. It was mostly just intended to be a temporary fix for our netcode when we were first getting the game going. We had found out that speeding up the bullets, which because no Halo is actually hit scan, it's just projectile based, and some Halos have faster bullet speeds than others. So like Halo 4 has insanely fast bullets, and then Halo 1 and 3, for example, they have like a much lower bullet velocity, which is how fast the bullets are traveling from your gun to whatever you're shooting. We found that by increasing that, it made at that time the bullet arrive faster at the person you were shooting at, which gave it less time for the game to get out of sync, which makes you get those blood shots that you'll shoot somebody and it doesn't do anything, because the bullets are arriving much faster that was kind of our fix at that time when our netcode wasn't that good. I think through the people that like Nucleator on a project, Permanol, the people that have just done so much with the netcode to try and improve it, that has been deprecated. Most servers on our game use 400 bullet velocity, which is what default Halo 2 uses. And to give you some perspective, Halo 3 uses 180 bullet velocity speed. So if you can imagine, that's Halo 3, and then Halo 2 uses 400. So Halo 2 is like much more likely to hit. And with a good netcode, you shouldn't need to be changing bullet velocities at all. Things will just connect naturally the way that they're supposed to. But like I said, that option is there. If server owners want to change their bullet velocity or whatever to help improve for poor connecting people, that's their choice. Like they have their own option to put it on servers. They have the option to change that too.
How does this upcoming H2 MCCPC release affect the development or livelihood or whatever of H2PC?
It doesn't. At least as far as the project goes, we have the moment that we heard the announcement that MC's coming to PC back in March of last year, didn't really change much. It's like, okay, well, it's coming to PC. I mean, it's not like we plan to stop doing whatever we're doing. I don't really expect it to be good. That's just the way it is for MCC. It's not a very enjoyable game as far as the way that it functions with all of its bugs. I know a lot of people feel the same way, and I think what our project's purpose is to be a version of Halo 2 that is free. We were under Microsoft and 343 against Windows Live all those years, and we had our server list go down, like I said, and there was a time where 343 put out an announcement in late 2012 after Halo 4 came out. They had said that they're going to, be shutting down the Halo 2 Vista server list because the population was only like 20 or less, which wasn't true. We had actually proved there were much more people playing than just 20, but I had made a petition, and everybody was saying, it's not possible. You can't save this list, but I didn't give up, and with the help of my friends Katanamo and Super Sniper, we managed to pull that off. We got the game to stay on. I got contacted by BS Angel on Halo Waypoint because I had made a thread on there, and she said, could you provide me with whatever you have to make this case as to why I should stay online? And we gave her server logs from some of the people who were hosting servers back then. This was in really early 2013 because it was going to be shutting down real soon in early 20, and we'd gotten the information from the server owners, and we had logged like over almost, I think, 25,000 people just from those server owners alone, and we showed them that these are the people that have played this game over just this amount of time. I think it was like a year's worth of logs and stuff like that, and we showed like how many people were playing each day. We'd sent that information to them, and BS Angel got back to us, and she thanked me, and she said, I'm not going to make any promises, but I'll see what I can do. And I had made the petition, like I said, that had gotten like 2,500 signatures. And despite everybody's telling me, we tried to save original Halo 2 and stuff like that, it's not going to work. I didn't give up, and neither did Kantanamo and Super Sniper. Although I don't know if they believed as much as I did, but I didn't give up, and I wanted to try and do this. And I believed hard enough, and we managed to. The announcement came out that they were not going to shut it down; they were going to extend its support. I think now, looking at our project, obviously the list did eventually go down after MCC had came out at a certain time, and we don't know if that was by accident. I think it's by accident from what I've spoken to Sketch at 343. It's just kind of something that they just had no intention of looking at to try and fix it. But I think that's what our project stands for. It's freedom from 343, Microsoft, and all of that, because our version of Halo 2 will forever, be ours, and this is for anyone to play. It's the community that's ours, and that's the way it's always really been when you think about like us as a community supporting it. And here we are now doing just what we've always done. This project's nothing really new when you think about it. The community's still doing what it's always done and supporting the game and continuing to express our care for it and keep it supported and providing a way for people to play the game. I think that's what makes it different. It's free from 343, and it's free from whatever decisions that they choose to do to it. Like the fire rates, a lot of people, I hear people talk about the fire rates in MCC now for Halo 2. They think the button combos have now been it's true, the button combos have now been changed in a way that it's not very enjoyable. And that's one of the things on here. You have the option, or we can change whatever we need to and provide a way for people to have it the way that they want. It's just, we're free and we're never going back.
So let's talk 2018. I mean, like myself, you were one of many players who were providing feedback via Discord, the Insider, Twitter, etc. Given your background with H2PC, what ideas did you propose, and how many were actually taken into consideration?
So, this is gonna have to go a little bit further back than 2018, back into late 2017. This is actually before this stuff started happening. Dursky had actually gotten in touch with Alan, who was in a stream, or I think he was either streaming the game himself or in a stream of somebody who had switched from MCC over to Halo 2 PC. Because that's what a lot of people were doing, and they had taken note of that. And so what he had done was he'd contacted Alan in the chat of Twitch and wanted to get in contact with, that group of people who were playing, as well as us, the people who were part of this project. He had gotten invited to the Discord, and he had wanted to see what we could do, what input we could provide to help improve the experience for MCC and make it better and try and fix it. Not even just for Halo 2 specifically, but just kind of MCC in general, because there's a lot of pretty obvious things wrong with MCC at that time, still are. But he had wanted us to, like I said, provide this information, and we did. It was kind of awkward at first because, like I had said a little bit earlier, 343 and Microsoft had not really ever done anything good for us, Halo 2 PC. So what was kind of the point of us helping them? I kind of put that aside and took up the thought process of, I want to help Halo. I want to do this for Halo, because it's kind of not about this, because there's a lot of people that were let down with MCC when it came out, and we're still playing that game and just wanting a better experience. So I decided, hey, let's try and help. I said, hey, let's try and help these people. So we made spreadsheets. We had a list of issues for Halo 2 specifically that we wanted to see fixed and that we thought were the biggest priorities, along with some issues with just MCC in general. And we had tried to get as much as we could into there, the important stuff, to get these issues fixed. And we had meetings with these people at 343, a part of that team, and they kind of just took our information and ran with it.
What ideas were in that spreadsheet?
Well, some of the things that were mostly at the top of this list that we considered the biggest priority was things that mostly affected gameplay. First off, things like Halo 2 spawn system on there. It didn't, or at that time, it didn't function at all. It still doesn't function anything like original Halo 2 does, or how it's supposed to. There was lots of issues around, hit registration. That was a big issue. Things like kill trading. That did eventually get fixed for the most part. I think it can still happen sometimes, but for the most part, I think you can go ahead and give them that they did actually fix that. But that was also a very big issue. That's something that can really alter the outcome of a game. But things like that, the playlists for Halo 2 as far as like Team Hardcore went, and the separation of Halo 2 and Halo 3 on there, that was something that was very important, because they had really no reason for those two to be together. And the game types for like CTF Sanctuary was wrong. There was like the indicator on for flag carrier that was not like original Halo 2 MLG settings were. That was wrong. And then it took them so long just to fix that one. I think we had to complain about that one for, obviously, like a lot of these issues, we're still complaining about it. That issue, the getting the game type right, that took us so long, so many complaints to get that right. I don't know how. I think probably upwards of 15 times I could probably think of, hey, could you guys fix the thing? And they said, oh yeah, we'll get it. And then they came back, yeah, we got it fixed this time. It's not fixed. There's been times where they've literally said it's fixed. It's not fixed. I'm looking at it right now. It's not fixed. It's not fixed. And then other things, just like I said, more gameplay stuff. The melee system on there is very botched. You get a lot of very, very poor melees on there. But that there is a lot of issues with the Halo 2 melee system. Halo MCCs are very like with a lot of things on that game. It's a very unique case. It kind of takes things and takes them to a whole nother level of broken. The fire rates of the weapons, obviously, like I had mentioned. There's things like that, and also some good suggestions as well, like adding leaderboards and stuff like that would have been a cool addition. And that's obviously something today that has come to light, but not from 343. It's come to light from the community with mccstats.com. There's your little plug. But yeah, things like that, and join in progress, just
oh my
basic,
Lord, yeah,
just basic, just basic things. I started going off about leaderboards. I could keep going about the gameplay stuff. There's the wait for 8 stuff like that. You want to play 4v4 custom games. People would used to on XBC and original Halo 2 and on here on HTV. You just host an FFA and you just wait for people to join as they get on, and you just show. And especially if somebody lags out in the middle of a custom game. This isn't even for like competitive stuff. Even though this was mostly a competitive group of people, that were giving us input to help provide to them from along with our own knowledge of issues. A lot of these issues affect just even casual players. Like, what if you're just playing casual custom games with your friends and their internet drops out, like they're playing on Wi-Fi, something happens, you have to end the whole game and start all over, and you can't really play any Tour de Walshes when people are lagging out and stuff like that, and which is a very common thing on MCC as well. Connection issues. There was the radar blip, which was actually an issue with Halo 2 Vista as well, where the would sometimes fade out when it's actually supposed to stay on all the time when they're in your range. But we actually fixed that on our version as well. Other issues like player emblems. Remember, it was always the bullseye. Oh my gosh, dude. The UI. We also suggested things with just the game in general. Like the game has input lag across all of its titles. Very annoying to deal with. I think the fact that they added that new aiming system is atrocious. I don't think that should have. I mean, if they were going to add that system, they should have provided a way for players to use the original system as well. That was their little version. Like with a lot of things on MCC, it's their Band-Aid fix that ends up doing more harm than good. Nothing feels right now for me personally on there when trying to tweak those settings. Yeah. But yeah, you remember the UI, sometimes it would glitch and you would have like menus overlapping and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
A lot of stuff like that we would point out to them. Just UI improvements, things of that nature. And we tried to also, like I said, with the leaderboard, just provide them with some good fun stuff that would be useful to add to the game to really give people incentives to play the game and to keep playing it, like in-game leaderboards, a way to have clan system, maybe like how original Halo 2 did. Because, I mean, MCC kind of was based off of Halo 2 Anniversary. That's what its original idea was surrounding. So why not kind of give Halo 2 a little bit of credit on here and give a little clan system or something like that. People could do clan matches. But none of that stuff really ended up making it in, besides like the few obvious ones, like kill trading and fire rates got changed, which unfortunately ended up kind of the game not very improved, that making it worse for some people.
Yeah, I mean, the August 2018 update, it did drastically change Halo 2 and MCC. Like you said, the rate of fire was slowed to nerf the carbine, but in return, it slowed down button combos, which broke features like VXR reloading, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Many of these changes were inspired by people like Step7, Gregor, so on and so forth, and a lot of these same players who made these suggestions ultimately went back to H2PC afterwards. So what's your thoughts on the August 2018 update?
Was not really impressed. It felt like, and honestly, what I'm about to say is kind of the same thing. It applies to pretty much every update that has come out for MCC, with the exception of one thing. I will give 343 credit for one thing, and that is the Match Composer. Yep. I think that's probably the best addition that has been added to MCC. It's the ability to let people play the game the way, at least as close as possible, the way that they want to. If you want to play Halo 2v2, you can do that. It isn't a social environment, but at least it's something. You can choose the game you want to play, unlike how it was originally, where you just had to search, whatever they gave you on that one set list of playlist. But I'm really overall not really impressed. I think they take I heard the analogy. It's funny. They take 3 steps forward, 43 steps backwards. I think with a lot of things, like you said, it broke the button combo. The fire rates on the weapon broke, like button combos and things like that. I think you're at a point. I think that's pretty bad when you made the game worse. If you made the game worse in a lot of ways than it was originally, like 2016 MCC was. That's a pretty big blunder. That's bad if you made the game worse. And I think that if you're at the point now where you need to listen to the community, because it's the community that it's the people that are playing MCC for the most part are the ones that have been playing it. The ones that are still on there are the ones that have still been playing it, and it's kind of at this point you're trying to save face. Like, you need to listen to what they say. I've heard people say they want the fire rate fixes to be reverted back to the way it was originally, even though that will be improper as far as fire rates go. It will at least make the game more enjoyable to the people who actually do play Halo 2 on there for the most part. And I know that's not the opinion of everybody, but there's a lot of people who are very vocal about it, and I think that you'll find probably be the majority. People want that stuff. So why not listen to your community and give them what they want? Or at least do what we do on Halo 2 PC. Give them an option to make like add a setting for custom games or something, and let them disable that so that they can have the original fire rates or whatever. Anything honestly would be an improvement at that point for that game. I like it. Like I said, I just really have not been impressed with anything that has happened with MCC other than maybe the match composer. And obviously there are some issues, menu UI issues that got fixed, stuff like that. But I feel like the game has just deteriorated more and more. I think you have the game now feel slower. It feels much more sluggish. They just had that 58 gig update that came out that completely destroyed frame rates.
Yeah.
The frame rate. I think I threw a bubble shield top mid on Guardian on Halo 3, and it felt like maybe 20 FPS. It was bad, and I saw a funny tweet. Somebody said 360 from 2000 ran a Halo 3 in 2007 better than this console does today, and it stands true. It's a fact, and it goes with hit registration and stuff like that. All the original versions are better than they are on MCC, and that's just a fact from a standpoint of gameplay and the way that they function. I don't think there's much to talk about other than match composer is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean that August 2018 update was pretty bad. I mean,
there's also the grenade. Now you have that function now where the grenades can function off host like they do on host, where you can nade jump. And there's some people who are like, they'll be playing like a game and a grenade will blow up at their feet and they'll go flying up in the air. And it's like, you're not thinking that way. You're not thinking like, because when you're host, you have this stuff in your head. Like, okay, I know that this is going to be a thing if I want a nade jump or something like that. But as a player that's casually playing, that's not supposed to happen in Halo 2. I thought this game was supposed to be, and I quote, exactly as you remember it. Why are you making changes to things like that and adding in things like that? That was the Yappening update where that had came in, right? Where
I'm pretty sure they updated the tick rate. They updated something to where that started.
It's a function. It's a function in the game. We can do that on Halo 2 PC. We have an option for people in custom games to enable that if they want. Yeah, it's like, why are you making changes like this when you need to be focusing on fixing the load of other issues that you have first,
I just think the problem, bro, they don't know what the fucking problem is, because they a lot of these guys didn't play the game. They don't even care to play the game. You mentioned earlier about the game type, right? You're like, oh, well, it should be fixed now. And you're like, no, it's not. I'm playing it. They don't even test they just released Halo 1. No announcement, nothing. Little to no testing. I know the Halo 1 community, they weren't too pleased. And
yeah, definitely not. No,
it shows.
Nobody wants to play it.
Yep.
Because it's such a botched experience. It's not fun. And you have there's somebody now on that team at MCC who got to where he is because of his knowledge or what he's done with Halo 1 on PC. And he stepped up to the plate there, and he swung and he missed. He this is what this game has become. It's such an improper way of how the game is supposed to be. You've ported a port of a port. I don't even know how many times you could say the word, how many times it's been ported. It went from, I'm pretty sure even the original Halo 1 was developed on PC or for Mac actually, and then it got ported to PC and then Xbox and then back to PC. It's just been ported around, and I'm sure there's a lot of issues that surround that, but it kind of doesn't make sense. Why are you porting this game when you have known issues on the Xbox? I think this goes back into MCC PC as a whole. Why is this game even being ported to PC? Why are you even bringing Reach to PC when you still have all these other issues that need to be addressed with MCC? Why are you not fixing Halo 1, 2, and 3 first?
Well, it's called money, because
Because
here's the thing, right? A lot of people, they look at Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, Reach, whatever, and they're like, yeah, it's it's $40 for the game. It's like $10 per game. It's quite funny to me that Halo Wars 2, when they made it for PC, it was free. If you bought one or the other, it was free. So if you owned it on your Xbox, it was free on PC. It's funny to me that they're recharging for the games.
I think it's a scam. It's a scam. It is a scam. It's been a scam. MCC has its entire lifespan has been a scam. The game was marketed and sold as a scam, and that was a big scam too. You bought an Xbox. There's some people that didn't have gold, because a lot of people at that time were playing XBC. They didn't care anything about Xbox Live at that point in time, other than maybe Halo 3 or Halo 4. They got gold. They got their Xboxes, controllers. They got the game
Xbox One was like $500, and then people were buying Astros. Microsoft scammed everyone. They didn't have the 3.5mm port. port in the controllers,
Yep,
so you had to
that's
buy a
right.
fucking like a $25 adapter, which broke all the time, by the way. On top of that, the amount of controllers people had to buy monitors. People would buy all. Dude, it was insane.
Go on. Yep.
I mean,
because remember, no, you had to, because Xbox One's very specific. You have to have HDMI. There's some people that were still using like composite at that time, or even the component composite cables like that.
Yep. I mean, it was bad. And again, I'm banned from Halo Waypoint for saying #343 Bola. It's well documented. But again, the bottom line is, like, I was on the forums a week prior, like, basically saying, wait a second, like, what's going on? Because they gave out copies of MCC like a week prior to the game launching, and people were streaming it. They had permission to stream it, and I was watching the streams, and there's guests and ranked playlists. There's all kinds of bullshit going on. I'm like, wait a second, what's going on here?
Like, doesn't seem right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like,
right.
Games were ending, and oh, of course they did. But then, and then fucking Frank O'Connor is on a plane tweeting out that he's popping bottles on a plane 3 days before MCC launched, and they know the game's fucking broken. They know that they just scammed several millions of dollars from people, and like it's disgusting to me. It truly is.
People, I don't even know if you bought it digitally. I don't even know if you can get a refund. I've never gotten a refund for a digital game.
People were getting refunds, but they eventually stopped that. And then again, the people who were hyped about ODST, we didn't even get it until 6 months after the game came out. And again, no one gave a fuck about that. By the time ODST was out, like March of 2015 or whatever,
game was gone. Game was gone.
No one played it.
It's a big missed opportunity as well. You had a lot of people that came back.
Lord, yes.
You had a lot of people that came back that hadn't played Halo in years just for that game.
Oh my
and
god, yeah.
They saw the way that the game was, and you will probably, they saw the way the game was, and they played it, and they're like, oh no, this isn't it, and they took it back. And you very well may never see those people playing, Halo anymore because of that, because that was your missed shot right there. You had that chance to reel those people back in, and you missed it. And you're seeing it now. This is the second wave. It's coming out on PC, and it's the same thing. People are buying it, and they're realizing, wait a minute, this game. I have friends that from the project and people that we play with that they had never played MCC, and they're like, no, it's gonna be good this time. I'm like, I'm warning you, I'm letting you know. And
I've said it before, all it's gonna be is whatever you played on Xbox. It's the same game.
And worse, because you're porting it. Even I said this before it had came out, and when it was announced, I said, even if it is a successful port, it will be just that. It will be a successful port of exactly what it is on the platform it's being ported from. It will be exactly the same as what it is on Xbox.
That's what I don't get, is like people, they think that because it's coming to PC, it's going to change the way that, spawns work, or, the netcode is. Unless they, go under the hood and they start, actually fixing issues, it's going to be the same game.
No, you're 100% right, and I will give credit where credit's due, and I think this is fair. Halo Reach was okay. It does have its issues. Halo Reach does have its issues. It's MCC. It's okay. It's a pretty good for what you would expect out of MCC. It definitely does function more, I guess, like its original version than probably the other versions do on there. So you got to give them credit for that. But I think that's just because they wasn't even 343 that had ported that. They had a third party company come and port that for them. I think, and they still found a way to mess it up, even knowing all the issues.
And like you mentioned, the fundamental, like the core bugs of each game, like the spawn.
Right.
What about the presentation? What about the audio for every game? Why is it broken?
The game has, even Reach, like this is what I was saying, Reach was okay. It still has its issues. The audio in Halo Reach is terrible. Why did this game come out? Remember they said ready when it's ready. That you have quotes, you have literal quotes for these people. Exactly as you remember. And now it's ready when it's ready. The game comes out, it's not ready when it's ready. I have people spawning in my face. I have people literally spawning in my face. And then the audio, I'll be shooting, and I was like, wait a minute, are you guys hearing this too?
Yeah.
Like I'm playing with people, like, you guys hearing this? This was during the flight, and I'm like, oh well, it's just fresh ported for the flight. Maybe they'll get it right for the final, but we're gonna be launching this game December 3rd. What? And you just know they're not gonna be getting the game fixed in time. And the game comes out, and it's still got these issues, and it's like, you just said ready when it's ready, and you sold this product, and now you're putting it out clearly for some type of deadline. And I know that's not entirely their fault. They do have suits above them that demand stuff, but I mean, it all just connects and goes back into this one fundamental scam. Why was Reach even being ported, or why was it even coming to PC when you've still got all these other issues? And there's something else I wanted to mention. I think, like you and I, you go on Reddit, like Reddit Halo and stuff like that, and Halo Waypoint, and you'll get you come across a lot of people, 343 fans or whatever, and they'll say, well, the game works fine for me, and it's fine, it's fixed or whatever. And from my point of view, I'm glad you're having a good experience. I am. If the game's working for you good enough, I'm glad. But don't get in the way of somebody else who's trying to get these issues that are affecting the game fixed for them. You're having a good experience like that. You post so you go on our Halo and you post MCC is broken, XX and this right here is not working right, and then you get a response. Well, it's working fine for me. They're fixing the issues. It's fine. That's great. If it's working fine for you, just don't. Why? What do you have to gain from obstructing somebody else who's trying to get the issues fixed? That they're experiencing.
I'd say most of the people on our Halo, Reddit Halo, they just want to see pictures of the fucking Master Chief. They want to see reskin, recolored pictures of they don't give a fuck about actual issues, because I haven't posted on Reddit. I mean, you can look up my account, it's Tommy Gus, but I posted maybe 2 videos on Reddit of mine, and that was like a 2014, 2015. I don't post on there because I see what that site's about. Like, people, like, my subs, they'll go and they'll post my videos. No matter what the video is on, I could be talking about something completely factual, no opinion involved.
You're automatically discredited. It's like, no, get to that, yeah.
It's downvoted, I'm toxic, I'm this, I'm that. That's why I don't even bother with Reddit, because, in my opinion, our Halo is a bunch of idiots. They're not all bad, but I'd say the vast majority, people on there on Halo Waypoint, they don't want to hear, people don't like the truth. They really don't. And again, you could say that I'm toxic, my channel's toxic, it's an echo chamber, it's this, it's that. I've heard it. When I dropped the big 343 video, I saw my video being posted all over and shared by people. And I saw what the naysayers said about me. And again, could I have, went off on little Twitter rants or whatever and, been a little bitch about it? Sure, I could have did that. But you know what? I'm going to let people have their opinion. People can say what they want about me. Everything that I said in that video, people were saying, oh, you took it out of context. If I took it out of context, all the proof's in the video. Go to the links and watch the videos. What did I take out of context?
Right. And it goes back, and you made a video on this, not all opinions carried the same way. I had put out, a tweet about something with MCC and issues with it in 343, and I had people responding, little rants at me like, the game's working fine for me. It's like, well, could I have your MCC profile? Like, could I get your gamer tag real quick? And I looked up he wouldn't give it to me, but I looked up his friend who got involved as well, saying the same stuff. Like, no, the game's fine,
sure,
or whatever, and something to that effect. And I look up his game, and the dude has like a massive negative KD, like just lost after loss. And I'm not bragging about myself or anything, but I'm just saying, like, there's people that know about these games that are trying to express their opinion, that clearly understand the fundamentals of how the game works. And why is it that these people who get on and play a couple of games of whatever it may be and then get off, what makes them more valid than your opinion, for some reason? Because it seems to be that those are the people that 343 cares to listen to.
Yeah, because there's more of them than us. It's not easy to talk about issues. It's not easy to talk about issues that people don't like, that they're not actively talking about. If you're watching this video and you're listening to us and you think that we're assholes because we're bashing on guys with neg KDs, it's not about that. It's never about that, because everyone, I don't give a fuck who you are, everyone who got into Halo at one point was bad. We all sucked.
Oh, 100%.
We all sucked. We all got raped in matchmaking, in customs, whatever. Like, we all start somewhere. And like, my thing is, if you don't know about something, don't sit there and try to inject yourself into the conversation because you want to have an opinion. Listen,
correct.
You can have your opinion. Like, if you think I think Infection's fucking stupid, right? I could sit there and say, that's stupid, I'm not playing that, and that's my stance. I won't play it.
I guarantee you, if there was a bug bug with it, they would be complaining about it.
Yes, no, correct. If there was like a big flaw, like, here, like, there's an issue right now with like Halo 1 where like you could get like an invisible ghost. You could like ram it in the spawns or whatever. Some shit. I don't care about that. You're not gonna. You will never see me talking about that on my channel. I don't give a fuck. But am I gonna sit there and go on Reddit and inject myself to people who are complaining about that? Am I gonna say, well, MCC's working fine for me, Nope. I don't play the fucking game, dickhead. So I'm not gonna say that. Stay in your own lane.
Imagine playing Infection, and I personally play Infection. I enjoy it, but imagine playing Infection because most Infection is a good example because it's what a lot of casual people play. But imagine them playing Infection and a zombie kills a human, but the human doesn't change teams. Like, imagine that. I bet you would be going on there and complaining about that.
Oh yeah.
Well, for us, the same thing. It's the same thing when we complain about hit registration, or we complain about spawns, or we complain about, issues with matchmaking not functioning the right way, and teams not being fair, and matchmaking and stuff like that, party matching. That's our version of that kind of issue. We want these issues fixed so that we can have a good experience. And like I said, it's not like I'm glad you're having a good experience, but I want to have a good experience too. And I know there's a lot of other people that want to have a good experience. So don't get in their way of getting their issues fixed.
I couldn't have said it better. Like the guys on Reddit Halo, they don't care about a spawn in matchmaking, or they don't care about your little shot registration. What they'll do is they'll take your issues, they'll minimize it by saying, well, 343, they're doing what they can. Like give them, there's 5 engines on one game, and
that's a very dumb argument.
No, well, I know why, believe me, and we'll get into that. But it's they've made a lot of improvements, and like the game's doing good, and like they have made certain improvements. Like you said, the match composer, great improvement. But again, ultimately, what it comes down to is everyone's got their own issues, and like the problem that I have with Reddit Halo and like Twitter and Halo Waypoint, well, I can't even post there anymore, obviously, but the problem that I have with these sites, like when you do bring an actual issue to light, I mean, I've made a lot of videos on issues. They still get discredited. You know what I mean? Like, so it doesn't even matter. It's like if I talk about pulling IPs, no one cares. Right. I mean, I talk about the relays. The video got like a couple thousand views. Like, no one cares about that. So people don't care about someone having your IP and booting you. I mean, like you can literally get a free booter on Google. Wait, that's not an issue, right? Or like people unplugging their Ethernet cord to rank up. Or it doesn't.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, like
it was actually Super Sniper from Halo 2 PC that explained to them why that was happening and got it fixed.
Right, and it's funny to me because like you'll post that on Reddit Halo, like our Halo, and like they're like, well, it doesn't matter that much. Like, you're just complaining, you're just a hater. Like, dude, it's the reason that why we post shit like this is it's not to be toxic, it's to invoke change. Because again, I've went to 343 directly for so many months, and like, I have all these guys added on Discord and shit. And like, I'll tell them something and nothing ever happens. The whole 2018, I was given Postum's feedback. I was on Discord. I was in all these Discord channels. I was in Postum's place. I was in Classic Halo Movement. I was in all these Discords doing the best I could. If you go back, if those Discords still exist, go there, type in like PodKosT, and you'll see what I was saying through. And
you try not to be toxic or anything. You try to genuinely provide the best possible feedback.
Yeah. I tried my best, and like again, my best wasn't enough, and like I could live with that. Like I was on. I could say I was there. I could say that I did what I did. It wasn't good enough. You can't make everyone happy, but a lot of what I was trying to promote, like it affected everybody. And you take a site like Reddit Halo, and it's like they don't understand that. They just want to upvote pictures of fucking Master Chief and Cortana, and that's fine. Like, I mean, you do you, but if someone comes to Reddit Halo with an issue, don't just spam downvote it and say, oh, you're just a hater, you're this, you're that, you're toxic. Like, dude, we're just trying to get shit changed. That's all we're trying to do.
100%. And I like I wanted to mention this. Like you said, Postums, he's just a messenger. That's a lot, pretty much what I do. By the way, I'm not really a developer. I do very little on the development, and I'm mostly the idea guy. I'm the big person who's always collecting feedback from the community. And I want to say I think we're getting to the point where we need to realize, like, you tried to message them in a very professional way and to get your issues fixed. I think nice approach is not working with 343. You're going to have to really start expressing. It's like, hey, listen, this game is like this. This game is not where it needs to be. These issues need to be fixed. You're always trying to be very nice to these people and address them. And it's something you don't want to, you don't want to be mean, but it's like trying to get your point across. Like, do you not hear what I'm saying? I'm pointing this issue out to you, and you're like, okay, thanks. But nothing ever gets done. So you start amping it up a little bit, and you're like, listen, it's bad. It's messed up. It needs to be fixed. And then you start getting blocked and stuff like that. There's people that get blocked on Twitter by the official Halo Discord for expressing their opinion about that. And just these are people. Think about this. These are people that love this game, that love Halo, that want to see it successful and see it thrive, but they feel like they've been abandoned. They've been abandoned. I'm being the community manager. I get if something, believe you me, if something goes wrong, I hear about it. And I don't get the kind, nice way about it a lot of the times. A lot of people are very nice, but there's people that are like, hey, idiot, listen, right. So and that's fine. I'm all for freedom of speech. You talk to me however you want. I get it, dude. I'm I'm a Halo player too. I think that's what the beauty of, our project is. It's like we're Halo players. We get it, and sometimes it gets irritating, and I snap back at people too. I'm like, shut up, and let me give me a minute. Let me try and get this information across to these people. I don't just instantly be like, oh, I'm just discrediting this person now because they're toxic. That's not how I do it, because they're mad, they're frustrated, and it's because they're passionate about the game and they want it fixed. Now, you make a death threat or something like that, you're getting blocked. And that's always something. If there should be no threats ever made to anybody about their families or them or physically or in any way, there should never be any type of threats. But
that's why I empathize with Postums, because Postums, when he was hired, he came off to me as this like naive guy. Like he joined these discords and he started talking about his Halo history, and like you made the analogy of like you're kind of like coming into the Lion's Den, like you have no idea what the fuck you're getting into. And like he came in here with like a bunch of Halo veterans, guys who have been playing every day for like 15 years, some longer in Halo 1. When I say that I play Halo exclusively, like I don't play anything else. This is it. Halo 2 and Halo 3, that's it. Like I might dabble in like World of Warcraft, I might dabble in fucking Madden or something, or COD here and there, but dude, I play Halo. Like this is what I do. And like, so for him to come in and like kind of take the stance of like, yeah, like I'm this like new guy, and like I'm working on the game types for so he kind of set himself up. And like I get like I empathize with him, because like he was getting death threats, he's getting people like talking bad to him, saying he's a fucking idiot, this and that. Shouldn't
be that bad,
right? And then like he had that thing recently with like his wife. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into his personal shit, but like he went public on Twitter with that. I think he deleted the tweets, but he's got his issues and shit. And I certainly empathize with that. I really do, because at the end of the day, he's a human. He's also in a position where, unlike you, where it's like it's a more like, I guess, professional, like he's getting paid, so like he can't say fuck you, idiot.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I get that.
like what he does, like in his own head at the office or through PMs, DMs, whatever. Like that's one thing, but publicly he can't just say fuck you, you're an idiot, I'm not gonna listen to you, blah blah. I'm sure he said some things about me, maybe you too. I mean, I'm sure a lot of 343 employees don't like guys like you and I, but that's okay. Like again, I my intention was never to make friends, but
I'm here to support the game, get it fixed, or do what I can for, at least from my end, do what I can to try and help support and promote the game.
But the main thing the main issue that I've had with Postums, and again, I don't hate him, I don't dislike him, I still have him added on Discord. Like I haven't talked to him in like over a year, but again, the main issue that I had with him, and I guess whoever's the community manager now, I don't know if he still has that title. The main issue that I have, I'm just gonna say 343. They don't know how to take feedback and manage it, because it's not just Postums, it's the guys at Halo 5 as well. Because I spoke to a lot of Halo 5 pros, Halo pros. They didn't take their feedback too well either. So, and they had meetings with them as well. But again, that being said, you on the other hand, like you're the sort of Postums of H2PC, and like I feel like you're much more receptive. Obviously, H2PC, it's a smaller project. It's not like the scale is not as large. But
100%.
But you take feedback from a bunch of different people, very large personalities and egos, which we'll talk about here soon. But you know a lot of those people, and and you have to sort of manage it. And I'd say you do a pretty good job, because again, the people that I've spoke to regarding you, they all speak highly of you. Like obviously, like Skulls, he's like that Uncut, he's got a pretty big ego, but ultimately, I think you handle it pretty good.
Yeah, I think Postums does. I think Postums has done in specific aspects. He's done a good job. I think there's a lot of aspects of which he's done a great job. Is because this is very specific. You can talk about 343. This is a little bit more surgical. This is a little bit more specific. This is that team specifically for MCC that was formed for the purpose of fixing MCC. And he's team. Essentially. And you can talk about 343 as a whole and how they've done Halo in general. But this is kind of like I said. This new wave. This is that second coming of MCC or whatever, which is kind of fallen on. This team specifically that we take a lot of issues with and trying to get fixed. And I think, like I said, I think Postums has done a lot of good issues. I don't have that much concern when it comes to what Postums said. I'm more concerned about like the developers. I think the developers on that team, and I'm not going to completely knock them, but I think there's been a lot that hasn't been done that could be done. Obviously, because the game is still in the state that it's in. I'm not going to sit here. I could, but I'm not going to sit here, and I'm not going to knock people like that. I could, but I do that enough on Discord already. But there is a lot more that could be done, obviously, that doesn't. And I think, and this is interesting. In theory, you shouldn't even need people if you had good and I, like I said, not a developer, not a coder really, so I can't speak on this from the exact same position, but in theory, you shouldn't need people on the coding end of that development team that know really anything about this game, because if they were doing right and knew what they were doing with code, they wouldn't have to know, because they would just make the code function exactly like it does on the original version. And I know it's different because it's been ported. You've gone from a Power PC platform to an x86 platform as far as, the console to PC and to another console goes, but if you were a good developer, there's been other games that have been ported like this. You can look at Doom. How many times has Doom been ported? It still functions.
You gotta also think too, like, do the developers even know of these issues? It takes a community manager, someone to sort through feedback and sort of relay things to the devs. Because the legacy team, the team currently working on MCC, I don't know how big it is now, but in 2018, Postums was pretty much it. Him and like maybe Dursky were pretty much it. And like you got to think, a lot of these guys, like things like party matching, things like playlists, like game types, they were being handled by probably one or two people that like all the feedback was go. So if the feedback wasn't being relayed to the devs, these rule sets like party matching would have never been implemented. So again, you had to have these rule sets. I'm not going to talk in depth about private conversations, but from what I was told, basically it's up to the devs to make these changes. Like, you could you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So from what I was told, there was some deflection.
Yeah,
I'll leave it up to your imagination.
Yeah, that's typical for 343.
Yeah, there was some deflection, and that basically, I was told that ideas were brought to devs, and the devs choose to either do it or they don't. If that's the case, if that's the God's honest truth, it is what it is. Basically, Postums was hired so we don't have direct conversation with the devs. So he's pretty much the interface between, he's the buffer, so to speak.
Yeah, but there is something I do want to point out here. A lot of some of the issues, well, not a lot of, but a fair amount of the issues on MCC are actually like, they make their own problems. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of the code, there's code that's being copied from other games into other games. So, for example, the trading that happened in like Halo 2 and Halo 3, the trading that happens on MCC in games that are not supposed to happen, where you can trade with like when you shoot at somebody at the same time when you die like that happens in Halo 4. That is because code from Halo 4 has been copied and backported into these games. The red names, this is code that is now being, because they're trying to unify MCC, but it's very dumb, because you're now altering the gameplay, this quote-unquote unified experience, which the game doesn't need to be unified. None of these games really play like each other. You think about it. Halo 1 doesn't play anything like Halo 2. 2 and 3 are different. 4 and Reach, and they're all different.
Well, that makes sense as to why Halo 3 felt different prior to August 2018. Because like I said, I played on the same dedicated servers in July of 2018, and then in August, when the update came out, I played the same servers. It felt different, night and day.
Right. I just want people to know that they are literally going out of their way and backporting code from like Halo 4 into these other games. Code was backported from Halo 4 into Halo Reach. I think that's probably being done because they're using Halo 4 as like their benchmark, and they're using that to unify all of these games with how it plays as its standard. And, obviously, like I said, they did go and they did remove the trading for the most part from Halo 2. But, it still exists in Halo 3. Why wasn't it removed? They literally, the trading was fixed or quote-unquote fixed in Halo 2 before Reach came out. And then Reach comes out and you have the same style of trading, that projectile trading that can happen in the way that it's not supposed to or wouldn't normally happen. It's ridiculous. And something else I wanted to mention, you have this team that is headed by Dursky. Dursky is the head of that fixing MCC team. He's a former Halo 3 MLG Pro. He's knowledgeable of the game. You would think he would know about these things and be trying to get these things fixed. What's going on? Why is that not being?
Well, I mean, he laughed at a fan. He laughed at Bring Halo back.
Yeah,
so.
He literally he laughs. He laughs at the person who tried to point out the hit registration issues, and he sat on stream with Ace laughing about that. That made me so mad. That is no different laughing at that than
Why do you think I made the fucking response video? I actually, when I saw that, I was so enraged. I was mid-call with a friend. Mid-call. I was linked this video. I saw it a week later. I was so fucking mad. I ended the call and I made the video right then and there. I was like, and I tried to be so diplomatic in the video, but dude, like,
you're mad. I know. I was mad too. He was
so mad because I get Bring Halo back. He's like an animated guy. He's a character, but dude, he has a fucking point. Everyone knows this. Like what Bring Halo back was saying. Like the video got like 20k views, 30, like however it got tens of thousands of views. And when I found they were broadcast, I was even more mad because Dursky was basically egging Ace on. Like, he said, hey, click the video, go to like this time in the video. So basically he's coordinating this on stream in front of hundreds of viewers. And I'm like, bro, like, are you fucking kidding me? If he was in any other company, if he worked at any other company, he'd be fucking fired. He'd be terminated. He'd be moved. He'd be on leave, dude. Something would have happened, dude. But no, like, nothing happened. No slap on the wrist. No public statement from nothing.
That was a slap in the face to the community. That was him. If you think, oh, he's just laughing on the stream, it's funny. No, I mean, you got to think about his position as the head of the team that has promised to go and to fix this game and to provide the experience. Like, that was their purpose. They were formed to fix this game. That was their purpose, and he is the head of that team, and he is laughing at being shown actual proof of these bugs, and he's just that's just like laughing in the face of you or me. It's so. Oh, and I'm
sure they do laugh at me and you. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that those boys at the office, they probably have a good time talking shit about me, and like, I'm pretty sure when my channel got banned, I'm pretty sure they were the happiest motherfuckers on the planet Earth. I was oh yeah, fuck this idiot, like. I'm sure, and like, if I was them, I'd be happy too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't be happy if someone like me got banned, because
your voice is very powerful.
I've sort of been a thorn in their side. It's ultimately like, if they fixed the game, I'd have nothing to make content about. I'd go back to uploading twice a year, the fucking montage, whatever I made per year. My channel's seen growth because I started talking about MCC and like,
exactly,
like the issues.
You have to speak your mind. It's the only thing. It's really the only thing you have.
There's nothing that I can do. I'm banned from Halo Waypoint. They won't unban me. I tried talking to people through Discord during 2018. Like, and my voice is like, it's like semi-heard. And then, like, I don't want to put the guy on blast, but I was told from a newly acquired 343 employee, around the time when the August 2018 update came out, when I started making videos about bridging host and like the 0% chance, that type of shit, I was told that I have the direct attention from 343 now. I don't know what that meant, but basically I was told to stop uploading those types of videos and talk to them directly, which...
Yeah, you've tried.
Which I told the person who told me that. I said, that's what I've been doing, brother. Like, what was that whole year of the whole physical year of 2018? What was I doing? Like, I mean, did you forget? Like, do you want me to show you the DMs between us? I mean, like, what don't you get about that? Like, I mean, go back in the Discords. It's all documented. I made the big 343 videos because I wanted to have that documentation for later on, because if there is ever a part 2 of that video, which it's looking that way, yeah, I mean, it's just, we could go on about all this shit all day. I mean, it's just pure incompetence on so many levels. And like I said, I don't blame anybody in particular. I don't blame Postums in particular. I don't blame Dursky in particular. I don't blame, because again, it's a collective effort. It's collective incompetence.
It's just a lot of poor decision making, a lot of things that get ignored that shouldn't be ignored. You can say the same thing over and over different ways, but it all goes back to it's incompetence. There's a lot of incompetence there. There's a lot of things that haven't been done right. Painting over it over and over, but it's going to be the same color, and it's incompetent.
Yep. The Halo 2 community is quite divided. I mean, you have like the MCC Halo 2 guys versus the H2PC guys. While H2PC is referred to by many as the superior product in terms of gameplay, MCC does have the larger population. I mean, the accessibility, the brand recognition. Talk about how H2PC's population and what's actively being done to retain players.
The first thing I do want to mention is, you said the Halo 2 community is divided. I want to make this very clear. I never, being the person who promotes the game, tries to do the most as far as like getting the word out about stuff like that, and to get as many people over to playing the game as possible. I want to make it abundantly clear. I never intended or intend to divide the Halo 2 community. In fact, that's probably the last thing you would want to do with something as fragile as the Halo 2 community in its state and with its population. I just want to make that very clear. You should respect if somebody chooses to play MCC, you should respect their want to play MCC. That's the right. And the same thing goes for somebody playing Halo 2 PC. Just respect them playing the version that they want to play. And I play MCC sometimes. We play both. And I'm the poster child for Halo 2 PC for the most part. Yep. I play both. Just let people play what they want. But going into your question about like retaining players, it kind of goes back into just other questions that you've asked that I've tried to answer with. We listen to
like user choice.
Yeah, you have the most flexibility, the most options, the best experience. I think just our product itself is what helps to retain retain players. We are the way that you can play Halo 2 free of 343 and Microsoft. If you don't like that, we're a community. We're part of the community. That's what it.
What's the population like right now?
The population, let's see, if you go to halo2pc.com, you can see the logs for however long it is. So, like, I think we just put an update out. So, we've been looking pretty good as far as population has been over the last 24 hours when this update's come out. I think we've hit several thousand players over the last 24-hour period. The update came out last night sometime, maybe I think around... I don't know the exact time. I'm trying to remember. I think they put it out somewhere around a little after 5 o'clock, something like that. And our population is definitely...
That's really impressive, though, because when you think about... So, like, MCC, it probably has a larger population, but that's in totality. Like, that's people, like,
right.
on every game. Like, but for Halo 2 to just have... Even if it's, like, 1,500 people, like, that's still pretty good overall.
Right. Our Discord has over 15,000 members in it. So we can add you do an at everyone on Discord. You can get people going, you can get people playing, and that's a very diverse audience. You have people that have never played Halo before our project. There's people that have only played Halo on PC. There's people that have switched from Xbox. There's people that play both. It's a big pool of people, but we have a lot of people. It's just you have to acknowledge that MCC does have a couple of things at the moment that our project still has in idea stages or development, and that, like, matchmaking. MCC does have matchmaking. That is something that definitely is a big plus for MCC. It's the fact that you can get on and play matchmaking. The rank system, we do plan to have ranks and stats and stuff like that very soon. But at this current point in time, that is something that they still currently have, and that's something that you got to acknowledge. But I think just the fact that our gameplay and like I'm saying, I'm not trying to brag myself, but what I've been told from other people is that, we are the superior product when it comes to gameplay.
Let's kind of talk about Halo 2 content. I mean, clearly it's not 2006 anymore, but, like, what can be done to help push Halo 2 content and the people who create it?
I believe content promotes content. And what I mean by that is, I think when you look at groups like Lost in Time, I think that was, and I know that group, probably from the inside, I wasn't a part of that group or anything like that, but from what I've heard, had rough edges sometimes, I guess. I don't know exactly what exactly, and how, I don't know how to word this, but, like, I understand that it was probably kind of difficult, I guess would be the right word, at times for the people that were in it and running it and how they wanted to do it or whatever. But I hope that he hears what I'm saying when I say the skulls. That was really, really cool watching that kind of stuff. That 2015, 2016 area where, like, no one was really doing anything besides them. You started getting more in that were doing it, but they were the ones creating good quality content, and it was so enjoyable to watch, and it made you want to play more and go for clips and stuff like that. I do believe that content promotes more content like that, and I would love to see Lost in Time make some kind of a comeback like that, because it was just so cool. And I don't know what he'll end up doing with that, but
they were supposed to, like, 'cause
yeah,
during the interview, like, I didn't put it in the video, but I spoke to him about Lost in Time, and I'm not gonna get too much into detail because I don't know if he wants any of this public, but basically there was just, like, some differences in the group between certain people, and it's like,
it's kind of weird. I don't know the details either. It's just differences in opinion or difficultness or whatever the word would be.
He just felt like some people, like, weren't using their best content. Some people really weren't pulling their weight, and like, he wanted it to be like, sort of like a best of type of thing.
Right. What I saw, it was a fun. I love watching those videos, man. Those are such cool videos.
I still watch them. I think.
100%.
I think the group was great. I think that what he did, ahead of its time, no pun intended. I just think that it's sort of like you said, during that time, 2015, I mean, the game was in horrible shape.
Yeah.
Horrible shape.
And it's a shame it wasn't in better shape, because it probably would have promoted even more content.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would have promoted, because not more people would have been playing. Would have been a much more enjoyable experience. But I'm sure whatever issues that group had, coupled with just the way MCC was, probably just wasn't a very enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I mean, I just missed the lobbies, and, like, he was supposed to actually do a comeback this year, like the first quarter of 2020, but I think that fell through. But
you never know. Wait and see. But yeah, that's what my opinion is. I think that have the drive, create content and stuff like that.
As far as content goes, like, obviously Trukio's doing it at a pretty high level.
Oh man, Ricio's amazing, dude. He's such a good editor too, man. He's such a good editor. Yeah. I love watching his edits.
I mean, obviously Hyena, you can't really discredit what he's done for Halo 2. Lots of really good content, but I talked to Skulls and Hyena about this too on the podcast. It's like Halo 2 content it's so underrated. Doesn't get the views that other content does, like Halo 5 stuff. And
And what
it's kind of just like discouraging in a way. But like, I mean, what can be done to? I mean, I know you said content breeds content, but like,
right?
what can be done though? Like, is it just purely based off the state of the game? Do you think that's
That's what I wanted to get into. I think also you have to take into consideration while content. I do believe content does create content. It's only going to go so far though, because you do hit a limit with that given the state of Halo. Halo in a entirely as a whole is in a very 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 poor state, incredibly poor state. And then you couple that with the fact that you're now getting into a sub community within that. It's not like Halo 5 or something, which is already pretty low. You get into something like Halo 2, which is probably comparatively speaking, even lower as far as interest goes from content creation standpoint. And especially when you compare it to other games like COD or Fortnite or whatever game. Halo's not the first game that comes to people's mind when it comes to stuff like that.
so? Some of us, already know about this, but talk about the big montage torrent. You've obviously taken steps to ensure that history isn't lost forever. So, where can people find and download original copies of their favorite montages?
Okay, so there on the Halo forum there was that giant torrent that had a lot of videos on it. Although it wasn't as updated as you would like it to be. Probably, I think at the cutoff point it was maybe around 2012. It stopped getting files added to it. There is people who actually started seeding it more recently, so that you can still go and download that torrent and still be able to download the files from it. I think it's like well over 2,000 videos, I believe, of just Halo content. Not all montages. Sometimes it's just little tidbits of random videos here and there and machinimas, but it's definitely still downloadable from the torrent aspect of it, because the person who hosts it said that they were going to stop seeding it pretty soon. But you know how torrents work. Anybody that's still seeding it, you can receive the content. And what I had done was I had downloaded it, and I'm actually considering trying to do a little project that I don't want to talk too much about yet, but I do have those files downloaded and backed up, and I'm I'll give you a link to put in the description for people. It's not in a very pretty state yet as far as the way it looks, and it looks nothing like what the idea I have in mind. This looks nothing or even functions at all like the idea I have in mind for this project I want to try. But I'll give you a link to put in the description where you can actually go, and it'll show a list of all the files plus some more I've actually started adding to it, of montages and videos and stuff like that. And in its current state, it's kind of janky because I haven't really intended to make it too public yet. But you can hit Control F if you're using your web browser, and you can type in and search a video to see if it's there, if you know the title. And not everything is going to be named the same way as like what it would be on YouTube or anything like that, because it is just it's the original files of all these videos. But
so obviously Halo has changed pretty drastically over the past 10 years. So what, in your opinion, would make Halo Infinite redeemable?
Going with a different company. No, jeez. I think it needs to, like the generic response would be, it needs to go back towards the classic gameplay style, I believe. I think that, there's a lot of arguments that will be had over that. I don't know. I think at this point, I think, and I know this has been said about things like Halo 5 and stuff, I truly believe Halo Infinite is going to decide the fate. I think this is going to be the final and main decider of the fate of this franchise. I think that what Infinite turns out to be is going to be like, okay, this is the direction the game is going, and whether it's successful or not is whether or not the franchise will continue to be relevant at all, or in any way, as far as new games coming out. I think the game should return to the styles and systems that like Halo 1, 2, and 3 used. I think Halo 3 is a phenomenal thing to look towards for matchmaking. I know you're a big advocate for, party matching and stuff like that, or at least in a social environment, attempting to do a party matching system. I don't think the way that it currently functions is good at all, or even fair, really, because you win like 2 or 3 games, or sometimes even 1 game on an MCC in social. Let's say you make a new account and you search and you win a game. The next game, you could get put against a team of 4 of just absolute sweats, with you having nothing but just people that don't really know how to play the game that well on your team, and it's very annoying and frustrating.
Yep.
And if Infinite is like that, it's not going to be a fun experience. It won't be enjoyable. And it goes back into you having the mccstats.com. There's your other plug. There's another one. It's you want to grind and have good leaderboards on, and be good on a leaderboard like that. But it's not being fair to you, really, because the matchmaking system is trying to work against you. Yep. It's not being fair. It's trying to give you people 10 times better than your collective team is. So and teams of 4. So I just don't think that's a very fair system as far as matchmaking goes. I think it should be more like Halo 3 was. I think social should be truly social. Anybody can match anybody. And I think it should be an attempt at first to match, at least as far as MMR goes. I think as far as matching other parties goes, it should be like you said, it should have an attempt to maybe take 5 to 10 seconds, maybe 15, to search for teams out there searching that is the equivalent size of yours. So if you're searching as a team of 2, try to match at least one other team of 2. Or a team of 3, whatever it may be. And then social, it's forgivable, I think. I think in ranked, it's definitely a much more priority to have proper party matching.
Yep.
I do know from 343's perspective, the population is very low on MCC, and they don't want people necessarily sitting there and searching and never finding games, which is how it is now. But you could really help fix that by fixing your game. If you would fix your game, you would have people that would get on and play the game, and you wouldn't have people sitting there searching countless minutes and hours like that. But yeah, I think gameplay wise, I think Halo needs to return to more of like how it's been in Halo. Something that's very annoying about Halo 5, and I enjoy playing Halo 5 sometimes with friends, like especially with friends. I think it's a fun game. I think it's got a lot of annoying aspects about it, and you can go down the list of all the issues with Halo 5, but there's a couple of very, very annoying things about it that I hope does not return in Infinite, and it's I want to be zooming in and it be like how it is in the other games. I like when I hit YY. I think I heard you talk about this with somebody else. When you hit YY for the sniper rifle, and your gun's still kind of pulling out. I want to be able to zoom in. I don't want to have to. In the Halo 5 sniper, you have to wait for it completely to be out, and then you can zoom. That's so it kills the flow. It ruins the flow of the game to me. And you need to actually listen to people's feedback and apply their input to the game. You need to not just put out the beta, let people play it, get critical feedback for the game, and just be like, oh, okay, and then put the game out a week later, kind of like with the Flight for Halo 1 MCC PC was. The Flight came out, there was tons of issues and bugs. Well, okay, and then the game comes out a week later. I think it's all relevant to that. It's all the same thing. You need to listen to the feedback and apply it to your game. 343 needs to see Halo 5 did not maintain good population. You can sometimes get on there and search and never find a match. It just do what the community wants from it. Like, listen to the people who play your game, not the people who get on and play 1 or 2 games and then get off. Listen to the people that have been playing your games for years and years, and listen to the people, even despite all the issues that you have given them, still play the game because they love it so much.
You got any final thoughts, plugs, comments?
Yes, I do. First off, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, PodKosT, for letting me come on here and do this speech. I do want to give a big shout out to everybody on the Project Cartographer team. Big, massive shout outs. Permanol, Super Sniper, Tweak, Nucleator, Casey, goodness, there's going to be so many people to list. I'm going to end up forgetting Himanshu, Shadow Teddy, Cantanamo, General 101, all you people, a bunch of friends of mine, all the people I used to play with, even if I haven't even played with these people and I know they'll never even hear it, just shout out to them. Tweak, not Tweak, but Twitch, Faint 15, Payne Sherman, Kiko Mia, Riccio, Ultraviolence. Good grief, the list goes on and on. Shout out to Alan, MVC, all the people that I've played with on Halo over the years. Shout out to you guys. And I do want to especially thank Super Sniper very specially, because he's somebody that is probably the only person who has as much passion about this game as I do. I mean, my goodness, dude, he stuck by this game, and other people on the team as well. Just thank you guys so much for being dedicated to this game and supporting it and supporting Halo 2. And anybody that plays Halo 2, shout out to you guys that play the project or whatever, or anybody that's supporting Halo 2, making content. That's about it, man. Just big shout outs to people, that I know and that I play with. That's about it.
All right, well, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed podcast number 10 featuring UncutFighter. You can find his links down in the video description, as I said before. And if you want to play H2PC, the links are going to be down below. The boys at H2PC are incredibly hardworking. They're passionate, and they will help you set everything up all for nothing. They don't work for any type of money, so check it out if you want to. If not, that's cool too. But as always, love you guys. Peace.